First of all, thank everyone for attending my session. For me, it's an honor to be here. And I would like to say thank to the amazing organizing behind Data Toboggan. So my name is Geovanny Hernandez, and during the next minute, I would like to share part of my experience during the transition from database engineer to data engineer. So currently, I am lead data engineer in a language service provider company. And well, I started around 12 years ago in focus in data world, starting as a SQL Server developer, later moving to a database engineer, later to a data engineer, right now a lead data engineer. And if you ask me, probably the next step will be to becoming a data architect. So obviously, I really enjoy to learn, and the transition is something that in some ways is part of my life. So what is the first thing that I would like to recommend it before to do a transition, especially if you are comfortable in your current position? Probably you are a data developer or a data analyst. So it's extremely important that you have a very, very, very good motivation for doing. Okay. So, and sorry, but I hear in the past some people that say, "Ah, no, I want to move from this position to this another position because I will earn much money." I mean, I know it's valid to have this interest in earn more money, but it shouldn't be the only reason. So it's extremely important that you have a very, very good reason to decide to move, especially if you feel comfortable in your current position, and if you are an especially, for example. So why I am trying to convince you about this first step, because probably in the middle of the road you will have to struggling with very hard situation. And if you have a good motivation, you will take breath and continue and not stop and not starting to, oh, I make a mistake moving from my previous role. So pay attention to this, take your time and advance. So as a database engineer, let me continue with this part because it's interesting. So traditionally, the role of a database engineer is obviously this is now a very formal concept, but for example, when this was my situation when I moved from database engineer position to a data engineer, both roles share similarity, but they differ in terms of the responsibility and focus. So when you are a DB engineer, you are more specialized in designing, optimizing, and managing the structure and performance of database, ensuring data consistency. However, where you are moving, for example, in this case, this is the classical kind of task associated with a database engineer. Some of them can vary if you are a database administrator, but in general, this is the focus that you have. However, when you decide to move to a data engineer, you can find that it's a little different in terms of the focus because you will be more in charge of developing new end-to-end data pipeline that involves data ingestion, transformation, storage, and often you have to deal with big data technology. This is some kind of classic task associated with that data engineer. So, well, what I trying to tell you? It's important that you know exactly what are the most important part of the new role that you want to adopt. In my case, which was my motivation for becoming data engineer? Uh, Sometime we becoming in database administrator or in database engineer by accident. In my case, was not necessarily an accident. So this is the kind of a storyteller time. So in my case, I was involved in two different projects where I raised my hand and said, "Hey, guys, I would like to learn a little more and contribute with this project." I remember that this was a project focused on building a new data warehouse from scratch, and I didn't know nothing about data warehouse. So I remember to buy a book about Kimball, that is probably the guru in this area, and starting to learn about what is a fact table, what exactly means the slow changing dimension. I have to learn, for example, SQL Server integration services. And in the second project, I have the opportunity to integrate as a junior in this position, and I have the good luck of having a good mentor, and I have to learn more about Python, for instance. So I remember that at this point of my career, I realized that I didn't want to continue. being a database engineer, and was okay. So I decided to move in or doing the transition. But always, and this is very important, always that you need to do a transition, you need to evaluate different aspects about this transition. The first is identify a skill and knowledge transfer. What exactly mean with this? Sometimes we believe that, okay, if I move from this position or this role to another role, I need to start from scratch. And it's not true, because traditionally, if you are a person working with data, traditionally you are a strong problem solver, you are a detail-oriented person, and you have to manage time. You have to do a great time management, and all these skills that are traditionally called soft skills are very, very valuable. And a part of that, probably, if you are a data analyst, a database engineer, or DBA, moving to a different position as a data engineer, fortunately, we have a lingua franca, which is a structured query language. So having this knowledge is very valuable to face new challenge in the new role. However, it's not true that will be good enough with this. We need to do a kind of analysis about where we are before to advance in the next or do the next step. What exactly means? Okay, if I have this soft skill and I have this technical skill, I need to analyze the market because it's important. It's not true that, okay, I simply want to becoming a data engineer and I hear that Python is the best and that's it. No, 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 no. You need to evaluate it. You need to evaluate the market where you are working for, because it's important that identify what kind of technology are very demanded in the market, and you need to evaluate about how much time it will take for you to learn this new technology. So probably my best advice with respect to this part of doing a skill gap analysis is be ambitious, but be realistic. And you need to formulate a plan that probably you will need some months before to finish. However, however, it's important that once that you identify and design a plan, pay attention to this plan, and please don't be greedy with yourself. I mean, if you have to pay money for specific courses or for a specific platform, just do it because it's for your future. So it's better than you spend some money instead of wasting a lot of time trying to get free resources that probably will not be enough. The other advice that I would like to share with you that was very useful for me is about identify who are the gurus or who are the great subject matter expert in each area that you are interested in knowing. Because and unfortunately, in internet there are a lot of people writing the classic advice that that is not good at all. So if you identify the great expert and learn from them, will be so nice. The other important aspect is networking and mentoring. Why? Because probably it will be a new wall, new challenge for you, and sometimes you feel you could feel alone. So if you are part of a community, a local chapter, you will learn new technology, but a part of that you will share experience with other colleagues, and this is so great. The last part respect to this slide is about mentoring. You not necessarily, it's not mandatory that you have a mentor. It's great. It's so good if you have a mentor. But if you couldn't have a mentor, please be try to be a mentor of other people and don't expect that in a very formal way, okay, I will be your mentor. No, simply if you have new knowledge, share with the people. This is for me a very, very great way. The other part is overcoming challenge. Be brave. Probably you will experiment some hard time. You will feel that, it's I make a mistake moving to this role, or in this is not proper for me. I feel like the classic imposter syndrome. No, no, no. Please remember the first slide that I shared with you about, please get a good motivation because it's exactly in this point when you are in the middle of the road that you need to take your main motivation and say, okay, I need to continue and I can overcome in this kind of challenge. Finally, learn is for me probably the most important soft skill that we need to improve every day. If you feel comfortable in your current role, uh, not necessarily is good or bad. If you feel comfortable, you feel comfortable. It's good. But if you need or if you think that you need to advance in another direction, please don't stop only because you are a little unsure about, okay, I can do or I will not be able to do it. No, if you take your time, get a good motivation, study, learn, and share. And go ahead. That's it, people. Thank you very much.